The director of this film was murdered before the film's release. He was beaten, tortured, and killed. That director, Pier Paolo Pasolini, was killed having made a film about four elites in 1940s fascist Italy. And these elites from different centers of power, one being a president, a duke, a bishop, and a magistrate. So that's administration, government, the royalty, monarchy, or aristocracy, the clergy, and the judicial system. These elites, with the help of young soldiers and female collaborators, abduct, sexually abuse, and torture and execute 18 adolescent boys and girls in fascistic, sadistic loyalty tests and humiliation rituals of power, hierarchy, and elite debauchery. We watched it so that you don't have to. You just have to watch basically current events, and that'll cover it for you. Those are similar enough. As I've said before, the truth is stranger than cinema. Tonight we're doing Pasolini's Saló, 120 Days of Sodom from 1975. RickRamos. Let's do this.
This is a film that is not only famous but is also infamous, and it's considered one of the most controversial, polarizing, difficult films to watch. It is a film that is not for those who are tenderhearted or unable to deal with difficult subject matter and violent imagery. And as I watched it, I can't remember the first time I can remember the first time I watched it. I don't remember when it was. I know I was in Los Angeles. I know it was the New Beverly Cinema on Beverly Boulevard. I know that it was a double feature, and I know that I had been looking forward to seeing it for quite some time because it has a reputation and it's a film that a lot of people swear by. So it's for cinema lovers, there are certain films that are almost there are certain films that are a rite of passage, and there are other films that are you want to feel like you know something that sets you apart from the rest of the movie-going public. I went to see Saló by myself in a pretty populated theater, and sadly, I was both disgusted but slowly bored by it. Now, this was probably 12 or 15 years ago. It's not as though I had a very hopeful and optimistic impression of the world that I was living in, but it wasn't 2026. This movie affected me a little bit differently this time. I can't say that I like this film. I'm not sure that I would say it's a good film. I don't know what this film is. It's a problematic film because there's a number of elements to the film that I don't think are explored the way they need to be in order to give it the gravity that the subject matter deserves. And we're gonna get into that because I have a feeling you and I are going to argue a little bit about the interpretation of this thing, not in a bad way, but in a matter of just I didn't see this, you did. You didn't see this, I did. Um, but I will say that this is a film that I had heard about for years, and it was something that I felt, whether I wanted to however it would affect me, I needed to see the film, and I did so. When you brought this film up as a potential podcast episode, my heart sunk a little bit because I was like, I don't really want to go back to that movie. But what we do is a commentary on the world that we live in, and I think this is an important film in the respects of not only the politics that it's espousing or shining a light on, I should say, the history of the film in cinema, but also the commentary that it's making both on the society in which it was made, the history that it's depicting, but also the foreseeing of what we would find ourselves mired in almost 40 years later. So that being that, this is my relationship with the film, Mr. Chavez. I'm eager to find out your, I imagine, complicated history with it as well.
I really don't. I really don't have a complicated or uncomplicated history with the film.
Well, I just feel like you are definitely somebody that would have known about this film.
Yeah.
That would have known about Pasolini, the controversy over his death 3 weeks after the premiere of the film.
Before. It was before the film. Before the premiere.
No, I thought, was it 3 weeks? I know 3 weeks was involved. I thought it was 3 weeks 3 weeks after it was shown. I don't know. I just know that there's John Waters, the great John Waters, says he was just hustling, and he got the shit beat out of him and murdered like a lot of gay men of that time period. It's possible that
that's
possible. That is entirely
and that's the main theory.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it was a sexual encounter that escalated. It was a gay encounter gone wrong.
Yeah.
But Pasolini, he was gay.
Yeah.
He wasn't an intellectual. He was political, Marxist. He was against consumer and very critical of consumerism in Italy and in general. He was critical of American cultural influence around the world.
Yeah.
He made enemies.
And he wasn't afraid of making enemies. And in doing that kind of thing, you do make a target of yourself. I'm not saying that what happened should have happened, but I'm saying that those are the chances that you take. And I don't think people were surprised by his murder. The severity of the violence involved in his murder, that was a problem for a lot of people too.
Well, that's the thing. He was beaten. He was run over by his own car. Some stories say that his testicles were stomped. He was just stomped.
And, I heard that he was beaten with a tire iron. His testicles were beaten with a tire iron. I mean, there's a lot of, 40 years later, 50 years later,
there's legend to
change. It. Yeah, it's a legend. Yeah,
and it's about 1940s fascist Italy. This film, Saló. And you had right-wing groups active in Italy at the time that he had pissed off. We even have left-wing groups that he had pissed off. He's a prominent director. Well, he's a prominent voice. He had directed adaptations. They were either stark or more on the central side, adaptations of classical literature, the Gospel of Matthew, Oedipus, Medea, 1001 Nights, the Canterbury Tales, and now he was going into darker areas. And this one is dark as fuck. So I knew about this. I knew about his story. Abel Ferrara made a film about him with Willem Dafoe. I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't either, but I have it. And, you and I have been disappointed by Abel Ferrara numerous times.
Yeah.
But this is Dafoe as Pasolini, and it seems like the kind of salacious material that Abel Ferrara handles well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to say
Mm-hmm.
that he's opportunistic, but he does deal with this kind of material in a way that elevates. I mean, I think he's one of the best scumbag directors that you could imagine. If
Yeah.
if you were to bring it to something as simple as that, is that
Yeah.
he can swim in those
As a
waters.
scumbag podcaster, I can attest to that.
Interesting. Yeah.
The film is an adaptation of a Marquis de Sade story. And the story is 120 Days of Sodom from 1785. And the premise is the same. Instead of fascists, it's for rich libertines, and they're acting out their most insane and abusive fantasies on young victims, also with the help of collaborators. Um, so it's like the level of something happening in the time of de Sade in the 18th century, something happening in the time of fascist 1940s Italy, and then as viewers, the backdrop of this behavior happening in current times with all of the Epstein backdrop. So going back to the de Sade book, so de Sade is a French noble, writer, philosopher. The term sadism, which is getting pleasure from inflicting pain, it comes from his title. So his name is Donatien Alphonse Francois, and his title is the Marquis de Sade. And so, because of his writings, which were about abuse and sexual pleasure and abuse and pain, um, he that term developed out of, I don't remember who coined it or how it developed, but it developed out of his title. So sadism comes from de Sade. So you know what he's about. His life is filled with fucking scandal, blasphemy, libertinism, which is challenging the norms of the day, sodomy, imprisonment, escape, abuse, poisonings, fucking confinement to an asylum. If you haven't seen Quills touches on that. It's like his lifestyle, his work or whatever. And so this is one of his pieces. And before he was just considered a fucking pervert, and throughout the last century, his kind of the view of him has been reevaluated by different thinkers, including feminist thinkers, and as having an important place in that he touched on taboo and transgression and what it means to like what these different ideas of desire and as they mix with pleasure and pain. The film itself, to me, is, and you touched on, I think one of the most important aspects of the film is that you said when you first saw it, you said you got bored, and I that jumped out to me because I hadn't seen the film. It had been this like legend, and I remember when we first started, like podcasting together, fucking 10 years ago, 11 years ago, and we did these types of subjects. We did ritual abuse. We did with the clergy, with grooming, with all these different things. These are early episodes that we did in 2015. Spotlight, the film, with the Boston Globe, like clerical Catholic Church scandal. We did a movie LIE or Lie. That was episode 85. Um, so if you go back to that, it's in 2015. We did episodes on pornography, which were episodes 108 and 109. We were touching on fucked up shit going all the way back. Somewhere in there in those conversations, we were naively talking about like the mythology or the urban legend of like the snuff film and does it exist, and that was a thing. It's like in the back rooms of the VHS world where we come from. It's like, is there a VHS somewhere that's some crazy fucking, or is it like on an 8mm where it's like on a fucking reel? And like, are these things floating around? Or nowadays we talk about, well, is it on the dark web? And and get into Videodrome and that type of shit. And it's like, of course it fucking does. And at different points, either of us, let's say me, I've said fucking like, oh yes it does, nah it doesn't. This is an urban legend. Right now, the layers are being peeled back on power, institutions, all the conspiracies that we fucking talked about, whether we believed in them or not. It's kind of like, well, what's real, what isn't? Um, Getting back to this film, the idea is that a group of elites would fucking torture adolescents and potentially younger. Um, in this film, that's the age. In the film of what's happening in the world and what's being discovered, it is younger. And it's made into a film. And because the format of film we've been conditioned to view it in terms of entertainment, the fact that it gets boring jumped out at me immediately, because I feel that this film is a fascist metaphor. It's a message. It's a fascist metaphor about hierarchy, control, power, conformity, primarily conformity, the acceptance of and the participation in, and the ultimately the numbness towards abuse and degradation. And you watch this film, it has no arc. There's no development.
Yeah.
There's no transformation, Aristotelian transformation at the end. There's no catharsis. There's no drama, because drama is a character wants something and has to go through all the obstacles to get it, and it turns out differently at the end. There is no drama. There's just one-upsmanship of suffering and shock value and degradation, and it has to get more and more extreme. And that becomes like diminishing returns to a viewer. It becomes diminishing returns to a voyeur, right? We become bored. We become numb. But that's the danger. And as I was watching it, I was just kind of like, oh, well, this is just like more fucking torture, more of the same. And then I'm thinking to myself, fuck, do not let this happen to you outside of this viewing experience in reality, because in the film, there's no arc. In the fascism outside, there is no arc. It's only a cycle of power dynamics and an abusive circle. Any kind of ritual, we'll get into this next time because we're going to revisit Eyes Wide Shut. Spectacle and ritual, it's all power displays. It's the aesthetics and displays of power. Citizens, the way we viewing a movie become bored, citizens become desensitized, and abuse becomes mechanical. It becomes bureaucratic. It becomes banal. And then that's how you get the Eichmanns, the bureaucracy of Hitler, the bureaucracy of the Holocaust, which says, I was just doing my job. All I do is fill out this part of a form. Then you become the fascist version of modern times, where every person just does their part. They're in the assembly line of atrocity, basically. And you get sucked into that machine like Charlie Chaplin, and then you become a collaborator. And that's really what I think the film is doing. And it's horrible. It's horrible what you see, but it's also horrible to experience it as a film and to be bored by it, because that's an indictment against you. And I don't just mean you Rick, I mean me, anyone who views it. Because what else do? You can either turn it off. If you're going to sit through it, you will be, as a viewer, you will be bored because this is the conditioning of our viewing experience, is to want to see what we've been taught to see in terms of drama, in terms of story, in terms of narrative. From the perspective of an art movie, it's like, well, at least there's like a poetic element to it, or it's weird, or it's artistic, or it's colorful, or it's, this is just stark scenes of poor rich assholes fucking, getting fucked, and torturing adolescents and eating shit. And it's kind of like, well, that's what fascism ultimately is like a society where we all get fucked and eat shit. And power is power. That's before we even go deeper into the actual layers of the film. That's kind of my experience of it and my take.
I see what you're saying. I didn't have that experience this time. I wasn't bored by it this time. I was. It worked backwards, I guess. Seeing it at the Beverly, which is not a big screen, but it's still a big screen. There was a distance to it. I don't know what it was. You're going out, you park, you buy your ticket, you sit down. You know that there are other people around you. There's a part of you that starts to wonder about the psyches surrounding you. You wonder about yourself. Then you start talking about the people who have either recommended this film or have outright hated the film. But this time I watched it at home, in my living room, my personal space, my thing, and it felt dirtier. It felt more intrusive.
Yeah.
It felt like I was bringing something evil into my home. Something, and I don't. I don't mean to sound like, I hate to use the word evil, but I'm not sure what other
Yeah.
words can be used, because evil start. I've always felt that calling something evil removes the humanity from it.
That's what we talked about with Richard Ramirez.
Yeah, exactly. And believe me, I'm not talking about, and I've said this before, I'm not talking about humanity in the sense of the thing that makes us good. Humanity is every aspect of who we are. It is the thing that makes us human beings. That aspect of us that is both evil, good, the questionable, saintly, whatever the fuck it is that you are. It's all an aspect of you being a human being. When I say evil, I feel like popular culture has reduced that to something that is that you can be almost dismissive of it, because that's not like any of us. Charles Manson is evil, but the
Right.
truth is that Manson is a product of the environment that he was born out of and shaped by. And bringing this into my home, I did not like doing it. I did not like
Yeah, fascism, where you're in your boxers,
yeah, when you're sitting there and the dog is sleeping, you can hear the dog snoring behind you. There's some kind of sense of normalcy, but it's also the understanding. It's closer to you. You're seeing it right there, but you're aware that there was more than a few times where I was sitting there going, "That's an island. That little castle that they're in, that's an island." And this evil shit is going on, and people are doing this, and I wonder how much of what is in this film is reflected in the Epstein,
Yeah.
the Epstein Files, the Epstein case. And I'm sure that a lot of it is there, and I'm sure that a lot of it is worse, because the truth is that however horrible Pasolini's cinematic creation is, when you know that it's real people, it's just on another level of both sadness and depravity. And I know that at this point I will never see this movie again. I will never watch this movie again. There is no point in watching it. There is I may watch other films of Pasolini's, because there is something about the filmmaking, there is something about the bravery of the filmmaking, that if Pasolini is not taking pleasure in what he's filming and is rather spotlighting it to show the inhumanity of fascism and the degree to which power can be a corrupting factor in our lives, I think it's very brave. But it's not a film that I think I would never recommend this film to somebody. I can't say that. I don't know.
Top 8
I'd probably
films.
just read. I don't know.
Valentine's Day's coming up.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's horrible.
It's a horrible film. But is it a good film? Is it a well-made film? I think anything that goes to the degree. I don't think that anything in this film. It is salacious to a degree, but it's also being honest. I think there is nothing that is depicted in this film that I can't see people do, that I cannot see people not doing to one another. That I cannot see
Right.
there is a level of sadism in this world where people enjoy watching somebody else suffer, a physically weaker person, or a financially weaker person, or a emotionally or psychologically. There is that aspect of it. The problem that I have with the film is the context in which the narrative is structured. It's like I don't know where this comes from. This cross-eyed motherfucker. Who is he the president of? Is he the president of the country? Is he the president of a company?
Does it matter?
Yes, it does. It does.
Because
It matters
it's kind of
in this
like,
instance because it makes it
what's the difference?
how big of it is how big is it is what I'm saying.
Well, how big or how small is it? I'll challenge you with that. It's like, well, I mean, whether it's a microcosm and it's like, well, this is the president of the bank, or this is the president of the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same.
Well, the problem that I have with it, and you're right to a degree. The problem that I have with it is the same problem that I had when we watched Clockwork, where I didn't get a better sense of the world that existed, that both Burgess and Kubrick were depicting. Was it dystopian in the sense of, had there been a war that had created this, or and was the entire human human existence fighting and reduced to this type of violence, whereas you had some people that were living on the outskirts, the man and his wife who he is beaten, she is raped. With this film, is this a part of fascist Italy that we were hinted at but were never fully aware of? Is this an exaggeration? Is this a fictional is this a fictionalized story based on truth, or is it complete? I don't. There's that aspect of it. How big is the picture is what I'm saying. There's that. Secondly, at no point do you really get into the psychology of any of these people. There was no understanding why they're doing this, or how it's breaking down the teenagers that it's affecting. Yeah, there's a lot of crying. There's a lot of There are some who are selling out to it in order to preserve some some sense of self-preservation. But you don't, there are moments when a young girl is like, I can't do this anymore. But it really is only the depre- the the horrible acts.
Yeah,
And I think that it would have been a more powerful movie, perhaps, if you had got into the psychology of both what they were doing to them, but also how it was affecting each one of them, instead of it just being, or maybe that's the point that Pasolini's making, is that this is a fully empathetic type of situation where the fact that you're feeling uncomfortable and you want to look away. And I think most people would look away from this film. I think most people would turn this film off. The only reason we didn't is because we have to sit here and talk about this fucking thing.
yeah. I mean, I think it's closer to the latter with what you're saying because
Yeah.
the way I read it is like, listen, you're looking for characters
Mm-hmm.
as human beings,
Yeah.
and Pasolini is saying like, these are not human beings. These boys and these girls are not people.
Yeah.
These boys and these girls, for all intents and purposes, they don't have names. They don't have backstories. They don't have histories. They don't have desires, wishes, dreams, hopes, fears. They're just bodies because that's what happens in that kind of system is that we are all just reduced to bodies to be used by the power structure, to be used by the state. These elites, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they grew up and they were an altar boy, or if they were the favorite son, or if they were themselves raped, or if it doesn't matter because the positions that they're in have corrupted them to such a degree that the person, each of us has all these like multiplicities of people that we could have been and we could be and blah blah blah. This person is the fucking president, and when that person dies there's going to be a new president, and the new president within this structure might as well just be the same guy. So it doesn't matter if this guy's name is Giovanni and that guy's name is Marcantonio or whatever it is, like, it's the president. And that one has been corrupted by power, and this one will be corrupted by power. And and to a degree, it doesn't matter even the system, whether, okay, this one is fascist, that one is nominally, or however you want to describe it, as communist, or this totalitarian structure, that totalitarian structure. This is a bank, this is the presidency, this is a multinational corporation, that this is the fucking church, these are the Boy Scouts, this is a cult. Um, at the end of the day, I think what Pasolini is doing is like, he's showing you the pyramid graph, and he's like, the ones at the top rule the ones at the bottom, and it's all interchangeable in terms of like the footnotes of the individuals themselves. It's and it's not even necessarily like archetypes. It's more just like these roles. These are the ones who, power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. These are those who have been corrupt at the top, whether they've been corrupted at the top or they had to be corrupt in order to get there. And these are the ones at the bottom. So it could be the president. It could be fucking Epstein. It could be fucking Harvey Weinstein. It could be, whoever you're accusing or whoever is in that role, whether it's alleged or they've actually been convicted, Diddy, fucking whatever. You can just keep shuffling those fucking like faces over that position.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, it's just all of us. It's just like, it unfortunately, when we look at like the pyramids, and it's like, well, some fucking asshole built that. Tons of people built that. Thousands, millions of people built those. We don't know about them. All we know is that they were for the pleasure and the 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 burial and the ritual of the fucking pharaoh. We know who the pharaoh was. We don't know who the people at the bottom were, and that's how it is. And the film is broken down into these four parts. In the beginning, it's called Anti-Inferno because it's very like Dante's Inferno kind of inspired, and so it's a period where they kidnap and isolate these kids, and they're read rules, and they're kind of given this backdrop of rituals and like ceremonies. That's basically on the fascist side. That's the initiation, and that's the culture. This is the reality of the state. This is like this is MAGA. This is the Red Hat rally. These are the rules. This is how we will behave within MAGA or within any kind of a cult or any kind of group setting. The second level in the film is these women who themselves had been abused as kids, teens. They're now in the system and they function and thrive in the system as collaborators. They're the Ghislaine Maxwells of the film.
Well, they're the bottom bitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. The
as
madam, the main,
as the term is known. Yes.
yeah, the main prostitute for the pimp, who helps recruit, and like she's the main one. They tell stories that are to entice. They're to entice the elites, but they're also they help to create this reality for the victims. That's in the on the fascist column or in the fascist column. That's the propaganda. That's the stories. It's like this is this. These are the narratives. This is the mythology of our system, of our state, of our nation, of our homeland, of our fatherland. In the third part of the film, it's called The Circle of Shit. They literally are served shit on platters and plates, and they have to eat it. Fascist column, this is the humiliation ritual. This applies to like cults. This applies to hazing. This applies to grooming behaviors, radicalization. You lose your sense of individuality by subjugating yourself to the greater group. The last circle in the film is the circle of blood. That's the execution. This is in the fascist column where you end up with the purges. Either you're a collaborator or you're dead. You're either with us or against us. You isolate the victim. You create an in-group and an out-group, us versus them. You control the narrative. You put the group above the self, and then you make the people in the group commit, either physically, mentally, financially. They have to commit somehow to the group, to where now to leave the group is harder because you've committed something. Because that also includes compromise, which is compromising material on other elites. You take the person, you get them to go to the island because they want to, because they've been tempted. You build it up. You create this ambiance. Okay, this is the part where we're all going to have, this is now we're having the orgy. And so now we're all naked. And there are cameras everywhere, whether you know it or not. So now we have pictures. Now you've committed. Now, okay, hey, like, you're in. We're part of this. So, what now? And now it's like, well, yeah, what now? It's what you were talking about with ICE, with these promises of all this money, and these people are being graded or given progress reports or whatever, and now it's harder to leave than it is to stay, because now if they leave, they're owed all this money according to this contract that you're describing to me, or you described to me off mic. They've committed. They believe that they're part of this, and they're a gang. Humiliation rituals. Wear the fucking ear patch. Wear that fucking maxi pad looking ear patch because their leader got shot in the ear. Whatever, however you believe, whatever take you want to have on that, it's fucked up. And currently, like, the focus is on sexual abuse. Obviously, the focus gets on these conspiracies of cannibalism, whether they're real or not. Networks of powerful people, of course. State actors, of course.
Yeah.
But really, it's the collaborationism that allows all of that. It's actually the boring shit that creates the fertile ground for all of the most salacious stuff to happen. And the boring shit is like, people are fucking funneling money to each other. Banks, bankers, embezzling, fucking money laundering, all this other shit. That's the follow the money boring shit. Then it gets to the boring shit of like, oh, well, this person ordered however much of fucking sulfuric acid or whatever the fuck on, whether that's for the filtration or is it, the talk of, is it filtration or is it to dispose of bodies? Is it this? Is it that? Well, someone ordered it and someone delivered it and someone fucking unloaded it and someone did this and no questions asked. I'm just doing my job. And those places exist because maids live there or they work there, or and people are on the payroll just performing regular duties, and it becomes a machine. It's this system of collaboration, and those people, who knows how much each of those people knows, and it's also who knows how much they choose to not know, because they don't want to fucking know, because they're like, hey, I don't fucking know, man. Like, I just work here. That's the line, right? I just fucking work here, man. Don't fucking ask me.
Yeah, I was following orders. I just work here.
I was following orders. I have my own family that I need to go to, and it's that fucking pervasive, and that's really like what fucks me up about this movie. And you see that, we watch horror films.
Mm-hmm.
You read fucking Game of Thrones. There's a new series. I like it. There's all this stuff. All of that shit is the release of tension. BDSM itself, consensual, an acknowledgement of anxiety, facing fear of death, playing with power dynamics, using all of these things as forms of, like, yes, entertainment, but also they're therapeutic. They touch on the human experience. All these things that you say that, like, what you're describing that you want. You want to know about characters. You want to know their motivations. You want to know what does the world look like. Game of Thrones is really good at describing all of that. The greater world, the smaller world, the individuals, the big picture, all of it. Abuse is not about people as people. Abuse is about bodies. It's about power. It's about acting out. It's non-consensual. It doesn't care about that. That's why the character Buffalo Bill says it puts the lotion in the basket. And that's why Senator Martin, the mother, is describing her daughter by name and saying, like, Catherine is blah, blah, whatever the character's name is. She's humanizing this person, or trying to. And Buffalo Bill is like, no, I'm just harvesting fucking parts from my fucking outfit, for my skin, my new clothes. I'm not killing a person. I'm harvesting.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking thing. And I mean, like, rightfully so. Like, rightfully, like, you want to see these things in this film. I just think that that's a different fucking, not only a different film, that's a different world and a different perspective. Um, there are other times when we've argued about this where I'm like, well, these people just serve as archetypes and symbols. And I think that's also a different world, but this is like not even on that level. This is not even like that, that deep.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think what Pasolini is doing is very important. I think it's a very brave
It
film,
is.
but
Yeah.
it's just not the kind of thing that it's just not going to sit well with you. And I think it's not a perfect film to say the least, but the majority of the problem of the message that it's trying to send is it's going to be lost on the average viewer who's not going to be able to handle the intensity of the violence in the film. That's not a problem with the film. That's a problem with the viewer. Um, we do need to open our eyes, and we do need to be more receptive to the true, uh, the potential of what power does and what it can do. And there's you look at these four men. You look at the women that are um, gathering these young ladies, um, and it's a very real. It's a very honest depiction of power structures and hierarchy, and you would have to be pretty naive to watch this film and say this could not happen. But I know that there are people out there who would say we're not capable of this. This is pornographic. This is without merit. This is a deranged, homosexual, deviant filmmaker.
Right.
But I think
Sure. Yeah.
Pasolini is making a very important political and human statement, and it is very possible that he died for it. It's not
That's
100%
true.
that he did, but it is possible. I am interested in seeing the other films, The Gospel According to St. Matthew, The Canterbury Tales. I want to see what else he can do with. I want to see what he can do with more traditional pieces, and I'm also interested in how Abel Ferrara would dramatize the last few days of his life. Um, there's a lot here that's disturbing. It's like I said, it's a difficult picture. You're not going to, unless you're seriously fucked up, you're not going to walk out of it feeling good.
No, or
Um,
inspired.
or inspired. No, no. But sometimes it's important to take those trips. It's important to see those films and look at the ugliness of this world, if for no other reason for you to not be surprised by the possibilities that exist. And if anybody were to tell me this is an exaggeration, all I could say is 3 million pages of the Epstein Files, most of it redacted. People that you admired, people that you might have respected, and people that you couldn't imagine embracing
And
a
there's still
level of
3 other million
yeah,
hidden.
yeah. So you think about that when you have Pam Bondi giggling in front of Congress as 20 victims, survivors, um, stand behind her, and this fucking this powerful woman sits there doing the bidding
And
of an evil man. That's just what it is.
and the to end on this,
Yeah.
the film ends abruptly. It ends without any justice. It ends without any kind of. It just ends. And the challenge that we and I will put to the listener, without even having seen the film, for those of you who haven't seen it, write the ending in your mind. How does the distant end, not only of the film, but of the story of these people, of these corrupt people in their positions, how does it end? And the idea that we punish these elites and replace them with new ones, how does that end? Because that's the idea. The idea is that, well, punish the perpetrators of these crimes, and then ultimately you just put in new ones in their place, and these are going to be better ones. And this is kind of the metropolis thing that we talked about. Is like, well, we need the benevolent billionaire. Am I saying that anyone who is going to be in that position inherently is going to be evil and corrupt? I'm not saying that, but I'm challenging the assumption that it isn't that. buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. It's buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. We do all our shit only funded by listeners. If you like our shit, if you think what we're doing is meaningful or interesting or important or worth keeping the lights on for our archive, which I think is our kind of like our legacy or whatever, and at least in terms of this project, feel free to reach out, and small dollar donations, $5. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to subscribe and become a member. You can if you want to. If you want to, it's like $50 a month, which is cheaper than just doing 5 every month. If that's what you choose to do.
Not $50 a month.
Sorry, I'm saying $50 a year. Yes, thank you for correcting
that. Don't scare those fuckers.
I know, $50 a year, not a month, a year. Yeah, thanks for that. I fucked up. We always trying to embezzle money. Anyway, don't get bored by the atrocities and the headlines that we are being bombarded with. Do not become numb. Learn to somehow, we're all learning it, to navigate through these waters and trying to figure out what's part of the matrix and what fucking is the reality behind it. Be safe. Stay watching. Goodbye.